You've decided to start a homestead? Now what do you do? So last night, I follow actually several homesteaders. Motorcycles driving by looking at me. Oh well. I follow several homesteaders, and you know, last night I was watching several videos actually, and came across 3 in particular that I thought to myself, why did I not have these before I started doing this? These would have been extremely helpful. I'll kind of go over a little bit of each one, and then I will put links into the description box of each video. I think if you're going to start a homestead, these are definitely some videos that you need, because they touch on 3 aspects of homesteading that I think is very important. The first one will be Amy with Fuel's Homestead. She came out with a video called 3 Types of Preppers. Now, when you hear the word prepper, you typically think like what the media shows you, the crazy bug outs and the gas masks and, oh my God, you know, world's coming to an end type thing. But that's not always really the case as much. There's different types of prepper. Basically, a prepper is someone who is prepared. You are prepared should something happen and you not be able to get to a grocery store. Now, all that being said, some people are like, yeah, well, you know, the economy's not going to crash. Economy may never crash again, ever. You know, nothing like that. But there are such things as accidents. The cats are over there like destroying something. There are such things as accidents. I know that when I was a child, my father was a construction worker and he fell off the roof of a house. And when he did, he was out of work for 6 months. If it hadn't been for family, we would have starved. That's just all there is to it. But you know, if we would have lived the kind of lifestyle that we do now, and you know, probably plus more, we would have been okay. So it's not just about, you know, if the economy crashes, it's also about, you know, what would happen if a tragedy struck your house, accidents happen, people get sick, people get hurt, jobs are lost. So it's just a preparedness to make sure that you know you don't suffer, that you could be self-sustained. So I think that's very good. She's also got a lot of information on, you know, if you did have to go out into the wild or went off grid, you know, if you could sustain yourself off the actual land. Great information. So check that out. That will be the first one I'll link. Second one that I will link was, I watched a video by Patara from Appalachia's Homestead. And I was just like, my garden's not big enough. You know, she talks about, you know, would you starve? Based on the size of your garden, would you starve? So, you know, it got me to thinking, and I was just like, you know, if I pulled everything that we had, if I harvest everything that we have in this garden, we are not even going to make it a week. It's just reality. And so I thought, that is great insight, great information, honestly, of would we starve from the garden size that we have. Now, that being said, Patara does always say the same thing, which is, this is what works for my homestead. This is what works for my family. Doesn't always work for everybody else. And honestly, it does not work for me. What she is discussing, what she's talking about, did not work for me at this time. I've never gardened before. Never. Not even the first thing. Not even a flower. Never gardened. So for me, the idea of a vegetable garden was a little daunting. And at the time, I'm sure some of you guys know, at the time I was planning on having goats and all these other things, and I have 3 children, and we were going to start homeschooling both of them this year. So I was like, I can't do a huge garden, and I'm just learning to can, and I didn't want to get overwhelmed with a lot of fruits and vegetables and stuff going on. So I was a little on the fence about how big of a garden to do. So I decided that for my situation, because I'm starting out and I'm inexperienced, I would do a very small garden. And it's working. The garden is working. I'm not getting overwhelmed. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of bored. I definitely next year plan to make a much, much larger garden. But for now, for my situation, for the moment, this is what works for me. And that's the most important thing to realize about homesteading, is nobody's homestead is going to look like yours, and yours is not going to look like anybody else's. Another thing, stay off of Pinterest. Don't look on it. You will get so many unrealistic ideas about what a homestead looks like. You'll see these beautiful, perfectly manicured gardens, these cute little chicken coops with the curtains and stuff. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but I mean, for a working home, that's not as attainable. And honestly, you'll get your hopes up and you'll be sorely disappointed. Then the other video, and so that, onto that, one more thing about that is when you start out, don't put too many irons in the fire because you will get burnout. I've seen several videos of people of why I stopped homesteading. These people literally packed up, moved, went off grid, sold it all, and then they ended up turning around and saying, I can't do this. So if you know that you might be wanting to just kind of get your feet wet, start gentle. Start with a small garden that you can just learn to can with. Start with just a few chickens. Just start simple. You can build up. It happens. You got plenty of time. If there's anything you will learn about homesteading, and I will continue to say this, patience is key. If you don't have patience, you will learn to get some. Third video, I just discovered this, I think last night or the night before, and I was just like, this is fantastic. Michigan snow pony. She literally goes species to species of homesteading animals, how many you need to sustain a family of 4, what it requires. It's extremely detailed. It is one of the best animal videos I have come across. I am so happy I have enough chickens. I'm now going to consider quail because quail can easily be hid from the crazy neighbor. Number 1. And number 2, quail are easier to I'll do another video on quail. So quail is going to be something that we are going to start talking about. But as of right now, I have just the right amount of chickens. Didn't even know I was getting the right amount of chickens. She was just extremely helpful. You have got to watch that video. It is fantastic, and it will definitely guide you in the animal department. So altogether, 3 videos. Watch all 3. Sorry, my finger's in the way. Watch all 3. They will teach you what you need as far as being prepared, what you need as far as gardens, and what you need as far as animals. 3 of the most important steps of homesteading. Love you guys. Hope you have a great rest of the week. Hopefully I won't sound like this next time. You can follow us on Facebook. We're now on Instagram. And of course you can always like and subscribe us here. Love you.